And what we're going to have to understand is we have to keep warring for our promise and prophetic word of destiny, and we've got to keep hope and expectation. So really, what God did in me was push my hope and expectation into a whole new time frame. See, that's what the enemy tries to do with you. The enemy's after you to try to bludgeon your hope and stop you from expecting God to do things. Well, I'm expecting God to produce fruitfulness if I keep going through the next 2 years. Look at somebody and say, well, I might go with him. See, I'm telling you, you have to know and be motivated to press into your land that has a new fruitfulness. See, land in the Word of God is not just linked with promise, but it's linked with your heart also. So if your heart quits seeing, put your hand right here, it's your heart that sees. The pure in heart see God. If your heart quits seeing, you get that big petrified log in your eye, what that's going to do is petrify your heart. You can't have a petrified log in your eye if you don't have a hard heart. Now remember that. And land is equated in the Word of God to heart. Your mind is interchangeable with heart. And your spirit is interchangeable with heart. So, let me put that together for us. God's saying if you want to be fruitful and watch your land become fruitful and all the promise in your land, the pure in heart will see fruitfulness. See, I said last week, I said, you know, I do a lot of things not as good as Pam, because Pam does everything perfectly. And I'm serious about that. And yet, all God looks at is that I keep my heart totally right. And if I learn and I remain teachable and I make any correction that he puts his finger on for me to make. See, that's what God's looking at with all of us. And it's important, especially in this era of war we're living in, because lots of conflict around you, and conflict is like a tornado. It can sweep you up and throw you miles. So you have to look at conflict like a tornado. How do you want to deal with that? Do you want to argue with that tornado? Because I'm going to tell you, it ain't going to work out for you. It's going to bowl over you. The Lord showed me one time, he said, the only thing you can do with that tornado, because I was looking at a tornado, actual tornado. And the Lord said, when I spoke to the storm, the only thing you can do with that is have the right word to go right into the center of it. And if you'll just send that word like an arrow, it can bust up everything that's swirling around you. Now, and then we're in 5. Now, not everybody's in 5 yet. But because you're sitting in this atmosphere, we have already celebrated 5. There'll be a lot of people that will not get into 5 until January. And don't overjudge them. But biblically, when you celebrate at the Feast of Tabernacle, you are entering into the revelation of the next year. So we're already operating in Revelation, and that's why it is so important here that you know we try to keep the portal of revelation open here so people can hear God. And 5 is about grace, and it's about high places. So the war shifts. And I think we're all seeing that. The war shifts with a new dimension of grace to extend time. See, God's not in time. We're in time. But he doesn't, you don't have to be bound by time either. Because in 86, God showed me 40 years ahead. In 2008, he showed me 12 years ahead. In 2022, he showed me 2 years ahead. And then on Tuesday morning, he showed me 3 years ahead. But I'm always open not to let time bind me. That's what makes us a prophetic people. When you're at the right place at the right moment, he can extend your horizon. That's what Acts 17 says. And you can see beyond. He always meant for prophets to tell the future, not diviners. And you know, I can sit and visit with a diviner for an hour, 2 hours. But my role in visiting with a diviner is to get them to a more excellent place so they can truly see revelation and not get hung up in the atmospheric rule in the second heaven that Satan rules. And so that's really important. And this is what this year is about. It's a year for Goliath to be dethroned. And what that means is you're going to have to shift your atmosphere. And that's how the Lord led me to what I need to say in the remainder of this time that we have together today. See, we have a moment to recognize and be aware of the Lord on our path. And that's what's so good about prophetic revelation. Leanne was saying he's taking a jackhammer and he's busting up the old path you've been on. And Robin, what she was prophesying, and Linda. And because he wants you to be very aware of him on your path. I think the thing that I get most concerned about people is they're not aware of the Lord on their path. Valerie even commented on Shabbat, which I watched this morning finally, early. And if you lose your awareness of him on your path starts closing in on you. And before long, all you've got is what's on your path. Look at somebody and say, I know there's more than that. Now, and here's what you want to know about this year, because this year is about the window. Hey, it's a hey year, 5. Everybody say hey. Hey. And it means the window of heaven, and that window is going to get positioned over you. And when that happens, God's going to send that sword of his word down, and you're going to become that sword wherever you're walking. That's what Robin was prophesying to us. That sword's coming down into you, then you're going to be using it everywhere you walk. All right? And so that's what's going to get you on your path and into the land of fruitfulness. Now, life is this.